we'll start here in a minute. So, a little about myself. My name is Jeff Hurt, and so I think many of you know I changed jobs about a month ago. I've been Director of Education and Events for several nonprofit associations for many years, and I come from an education background. My degree is actually in education. I worked on my master's in adult education and then made my way over into the event side. Some of you I know from MPI, when I worked at MPI many, many moons ago, where I was manager of professional development, along with, I'll throw some names out, Monica Myhill, MJ Callahan, my coworkers, yep. So I left from there and went to Promotional Products Association, where I ran events for our largest event. I used to say our smallest event was 35,000 of my closest friends in Vegas. And to give you an idea, we had 100 breakout sessions per 90 minutes. So just to give you an idea of the volume of that. 1 million square feet of exhibit space alone. So it was huge, it was 2 floors. Then from there I went to National Association of Dental Plans, and the event size downsized, but I was dealing with CEOs and executives of health insurance companies, about 500 people at our annual event, but a very different C-suite level. And so I was there for 3 years. I switched in January. I was given an offer that I didn't want to turn down to do consulting for associations and companies on how to improve their annual meetings and events with a focus on attendee engagement and a focus on the education side. I come at planning events strictly from the education design. That's really how I started out planning any type of meeting or event. And I have done quite a bit of mixing of virtual as well as face-to-face. In my education years, I've done satellite conferences where I would have 21 satellites across the state of Texas. And that's back when we were beaming through a satellite down to other locations. I did live TV for 5 years, back when I was young and skinny. And I used to produce and direct actually TV shows on environment and education, as well as environmental issues for the events industry. And this was back in the early 90s. So it works out for me having that background, understanding the virtual and the face-to-face. And one of my biases is you really need to understand the production side of your event experience for the virtual audience. And your event producers, and there's none in here, our EV team's not in here, your event producers become your friends because they can give you some tips and help you connect with that virtual audience. So what I'd like to do is, do you mind just kind of reading aloud? I'll repeat what you read, try for recording purposes. Here, let's do this. So we don't have to repeat.
Okay. How do you keep content compelling and relevant for both audiences to maintain the sense of community across both factors? Okay. Keeping energy up and in sync between virtual and face-to-face audiences. Searching for the right balance and satisfying the needs of both face-to-face and virtual audiences and attendees. How do you balance the interaction between the virtual and physical attendee without alienating one segment? A lot of similarity in many of these. Do we understand learning and listening behavior in both mediums enough to facilitate collaboration? How to encourage virtual to become face-to-face? How to deal with time differences if trying to do a live meeting with a virtual component, i.e. a meeting in Europe and you want to broadcast it across the US? How do you involve late adoptees, folks who have mobile apps and laptops on social media? How do you make virtual interactive enough so people don't drop off? How to customize the experience per media, live, social media, mobile. The secret to event and meeting and making them engaging for both. Okay. How to help lay people become more comfortable with the technologies we're discussing. How to be a shepherd. I like sheep, by the way. Making sure everyone is on the same or level playing field. What are the best services to use for off-site virtual participation, live stream, etc.? And finally, where do you find the workers for social networking?
Whose question is that? Can you clarify that question?
Where do you find the people to actually do the work for either that understand social networking, social media? Where do you hire the 22-year-olds that we all think are going to be the magic to get this stuff done?
A lot of blogs have job boards now. Even on Twitter, there's social media jobs.
So job blogs and job boards.
One of my clients, they split it up. Like they're a small association, so they'll have like Joe's social media guru on Monday.
So they do it per week, per day. Okay. Liz? Okay, so you're also asking what the job description looked like. Okay. The Wild Wild West. Yes, Liz?
Yes. Yes, thank you. Because I'm not 22. Or an intern, that's $10 an hour. That's what I kept running into.
Okay, so we have a lot of talk here. It's not about the age or the demographic. It's about the right person. And there's an article you said recently in the American Marketing Association. His question is then, what's the profile of the person? I'll tell you what I did when I was working at NADP. We had a position that became open, and I went to the boss and said, we need somebody who understands Web 2.0. We actually needed a marketing person. We wanted somebody with the design background, and I pleaded and begged for somebody who also understood not only the design element of marketing, print marketing, online marketing, but also who understood a Web 2.0 world, somebody who was very connected. It was the best experience we ever had because we brought in this person who had all of these ideas, and suddenly there were two of us in the office that congealed. And I'm a geek. I admit it. I wasn't a long time ago, but I like these things. I like the interaction with people. And so suddenly we could look at something like an e-community for an event and talk about engaging the attendees. You heard it here a lot before, during, and after. I call it the ecosystem of a meeting. Actually, I call it the ecosystem of community. Your customers, your members, it's much more of a community experience for them. And if you look at everything you do as a touch point, whether it's virtual or face-to-face, that there's a continuum through the year. So then when you do that, you design your online experiences a little bit differently in thinking, how do we put them all together? How do we mesh them and integrate them? The educator in me wants to integrate education content and make sure that people get hit several times a year in a variety of ways with the message. That's how we learn and remember.